Hello, fellow leggers. You are joining us on the south bank of the River Thames at the Bridge Theatre.
Where we are seeing Maggie Smith. Is it Dame Maggie Smith?
Of course, it
must be.
It's DMS. Don't forget the Dame. She'll cut a bitch.
Maggie Smith in A German Life.
It's a sold-out run, and we feel so lucky to be here. So stick around, find out how many stars.
Whether it's break a leg
or leg it.
I'm really excited to see this. I think to see the Dame Maggie Smith in a show is epic.
Yep.
In a one-woman show,
Quite.
is like, this is an achievement and a half.
I mean, it is. I mean, she's a lady of advancing years, but my God, does that mean she comes with a wealth of experience in theatre, film and TV.
She is epic.
She's a legend in every sense of the word. You will know her as Professor McGonagall from the Harry Potter films, but I mean, she worked with Laurence
Downton
Olivier.
Abbey
like,
recently. Yes,
she
there's
was
fantastic
there at the
clips.
birth
Yeah.
of sort of modern theatre, really, and it's unbelievable.
She's
still going.
worked with the biggest of the biggest.
Well, she stars in this new play by Christopher Hampton, which is drawn from the life and testimony of Brunhilde Pomsel, who worked as a secretary in Berlin during the 1930s and eventually found herself in the employ of Nazi monster Joseph Goebbels.
Okay, so this sounds like a bit of a heavy piece.
Yeah, now Dame Maggie plays Brunhilde herself in this 95-minute monologue. So it's straight through, no interval breakdown. Being directed by Jonathan Kent, OBE. He has an OBE. His previous credits include Sweeney Todd with Imelda Staunton and Michael Ball.
Great.
Gypsy with Imelda Staunton.
That's
Good
great.
People with
Imelda
Imelda
Staunton. Oh my
Are you
goodness.
sensing a theme
I am.
here?
What is the relationship there?
I don't know, but they just get on well. They clearly work well together because they have a lot of hits. The Bridge Theatre is beautiful, one of the newest theatres in London.
Say it before, it's just opposite Tower.
It's literally,
Tower
you look
Bridge.
around you, and this is London in a nutshell here, guys. So head down to the South Bank and check it out. Do great coffee and madeleines as well. Have a little treat, a little cakey nibble. Like I said, 95 minutes straight through. So we'll catch you at the end where we'll tell you how many stars.
And we'll see you then. We have come to the end of A German Life. 95 minutes, pretty much straight through.
100 minutes almost tonight.
100 minutes.
And I've got to say, I love this sort of thing. I love this social history. I love these conversations with people that lived through the period, that offer a different perspective on things. I found like I love having conversations with my nan, and she tells me about the rationing times, and it was like an evening with your nan.
Did you know, that's a really good way of describing it. It's literally as if you sat down with your nan, you're like, okay, nan, tell us about
your
life.
Days, but
Yeah,
not
tell us
so
about
much
your
in this
days.
case the good old days.
No, although...
And it's a challenging piece of social history, you know, and it asks big questions about collective guilt, responsibility, speaking out when you feel you should speak out, getting all the facts and making educated decisions. Do we do that? Are we taking responsibility enough for things as they happen? And it's a challenging piece of work.
I don't think I can really talk about it without talking about the set.
Okay, great.
So there may be some spoilers in terms of the set.
Yeah.
So apologies now. What was your? I want to know what your interpretation of the set was. What do you think? Did it symbolise anything to you?
Not to me, no.
Okay, because I thought I thought the
Okay.
set was symbolic.
Okay.
In terms of when you were living through the times, you basically hear the story of this woman who's almost saying a verbatim piece. From what we understand,
Yes.
it is verbatim her words
Yes.
of living through Germany and through the rise of the Nazi Party.
And the Third Reich.
And she's telling the story of how, the Jewish people around, she had Jewish friends. She didn't really, everything was taken quite lightly. There's the rise of the Nazi Party, but they were just popular, and she went to these rallies, and before she knew it, the people that she was close to were whipping the crowds into a frenzy, and she was like, well, this is a bit much, but not thinking too much of it. And yet, everything had changed around her, and the way the set moved, it's almost like if you put a frog into boiling water, it would jump out straight away. But if you put the frog in and you turn the water up, it stays in until it boils. And I feel as if that was the metaphor of the set.
Wow.
That the
That's
set was
some
moving
deep,
in such a subtle way
deep
that you didn't
observations.
notice. But if you stopped and took stock at any point, you noticed you
Something
were
had
somewhere
changed.
else to where you were before.
Okay.
But it happened in such a subtle way.
Wow.
And that is what I thought
Do you know
the
what? This
metaphor
is
of the
one of
set
the most
was.
profound things you've ever said. I'm
Do you know-
impressed. I
think
really
that's
am.
what they were going for.
Okay.
Do you think?
Well, I just thought
Does
it was
it
a
fi-
bit like they needed to do something.
They
And what
needed
can
to
you
do
do with it?
something,
Like,
so-
that's what I thought.
So then, that's basically.
But maybe I've missed the point.
How
I mean, it
the
happens
set-
a lot. I missed the point.
Spoiler,
often.
how the set works is over the 100 minutes, the set starts in one place and finishes at another place.
Yes.
But it moves at the rate of, I imagine,
snail's
tectonic
pace.
plates move.
Yeah.
Yeah. So subtle you don't notice it, but if you notice suddenly you look, you go, something's changed. We're moved on.
Anna Fleischley's the set designer. We've seen her, lots of her work. A very, very dark matter here. She did recently Olivier nomination for Home I'm Darling, Olivier win for Hangmen. We've seen a lot of her work.
And that's why I don't think I can talk about the piece without talking about that kind of concept, because I think that concept is what
Are you
is
going to tell us
interwoven
what the
through
metaphor of the
piece.
fading light now? Because it seemed to get darker as time went
Well,
on.
what did that mean to you?
Well, I didn't. I'm
Just
just
fading
do you know
memory,
what? Whatever it
again,
means to me is
distance?
not going to be half as interesting as what it's meant to you. So
The
knock
set
yourself
was
out,
the main
love.
metaphor for me. The lighting wasn't
Okay.
as much, and so
Okay.
it's really interesting because the key idea as well is that this civilian mixed up in this whole world who's working in the propaganda department of the Nazi Party had no idea. She claims, which I think we have to buy into and understand. She had no idea what was happening to the Jews, and that is the big thing with the Nazi Party and that whole piece of history.
She was
Is that horrific?
The whole of Germany, she was saying,
part
were
of history that
protected
happened.
from the consequences of their actions. Really.
And they were just brought up in their everyday life. They were worried about what was going on. They were at war. They were worried about their rations.
Yes.
What they were being told about what was happening to the Jewish community and the gay community and the other religions, all those that
Yeah.
didn't fit in with the Nazi ideas.
the Aryan idea.
What happened? It just wasn't. That didn't enter their psyche.
It wasn't
It
important
wasn't
to
part
them.
of their life.
Yeah.
And this is a German life, and they were living a German life. And it was only after that part in history,
Yep.
well, once the war ended, she spent 5 years in a
prison.
Russian. Was it Russian
Russian-run
prison?
prison, yeah.
And when she came out, and that's when she heard and learned about what actually happened, and it
Which was-
mortified
yeah,
her.
which
And
was
she
absolutely
found out she had this.
horrific.
Had a Jewish friend.
Yeah.
And she went to
Do I
the.
need to be here? You like
Well,
you get very passionate.
And she, you hear about, she finds out what happens. So it almost justifies, because I think you think about people living in Germany or being German through that period. You think, gosh, aren't they nasty people? They're horrific.
How
could
could
they
they
let
let
this
this
happen?
happen?
And yet this is tapping into the idea that actually maybe they didn't know.
Maybe they
Maybe
weren't
for
aware.
them ignorance
was
bliss.
bliss. You shut up, will ya?
And I think that's a really interesting twist, and it's really cleverly played out because it's an old woman
Yeah.
just telling a story, and she starts off at life, so you think, oh, this is a nice woman, and then we get into some real nasty stuff in terms of that moment in history.
Great. I have nothing to add because there's nothing left to bloody say. Well done, you. Let's talk about her performance, though, Dame Maggie Smith. I mean, there were a couple of times I was a bit uncomfortable.
Okay.
I don't know about you.
Expand.
There were a couple of times where
Okay, I think I know where you're going.
felt like she had lost her train of thought, and whether that is every night is the same and the direction. I mean, there is a little caveat at the beginning of. As an 80-plus-year-old woman, or however long Brunhilde Pomsel was when she recorded the documentary film, which this is based on, she was forgetful at that time in her life. So she said, if there are times where I have to stop and go back, it's because my memory's fading me and I don't know what's true and what's not, and I'm in advancing years. And it felt like a bit of a get out of jail free card for me, because there are a few times in the night where I was a little bit like my heart was in my mouth thinking, have we gone round in a circle? Have I missed something? Do we need to go back a second? But do you know what? Maybe it's directed like that. But the great thing is, we never know. I don't think we'll ever know.
I know exactly what you're saying. It's almost the knife edge of, is this really well acted that she's forgetting? Because she's so well performed as if she is making it up on the spot and everything is coming to her. But then it's almost to the other end as well as, does she actually know what she's saying? Are we confident?
Yeah.
Is she at some point going to say line, or is she having the lines fed to her in her ear?
I mean,
Or
her
who knows?
hairstyles could have been very forgiving for
I'm
that
going
sort
to
of
go
earpiece
for,
moment.
this is Dame Maggie Smith, and
Okay.
every single nuance and every single
Was
moment
meant.
was her
It was.
meant to be, and was in the moment reciting and thinking, was this, and maybe it's that, and it's all of that. So it was beautifully acted.
That, it was an absolute mammoth
Of course it
achievement.
was.
Because I can barely talk for 90 seconds without forgetting where the hell I'm going. But to do it for over an hour and a half, my God. Do you know what? You accusing me of being ageist earlier. Because, I'm saying she's an advanced, a woman of advancing years, and surely,
It's not ageist. That wasn't what I was saying you're being ageist about.
But you were accusing me of not giving her enough credit, I think. And do you know what?
No, justifying again, that wasn't what I was saying
But
about
whatever
either.
I said, I take it back because
good.
she was so sprightly and alive, and just those, so able to, the way that she vocalised and her mannerisms felt like that of a much younger woman.
Which is
to
really
me.
interesting to say, considering she was static.
Yeah,
sat
but
down in a chair for
I
the
just
95 minutes.
trusted her, and I absolutely did. I just didn't feel at all like this was an old woman.
I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
I think it's a huge feat for any actor to be on stage giving that performance for, 95, 100 minutes to learn that text and know that text.
Yeah.
For anyone, let alone someone, but this is an experienced actress. Blimey.
And I mean, what a joy just to see her in the flesh. I mean, her theatre credits are longer than my arms. Now, Jonathan Kent as director, how do you feel when you're directing a piece with a cast of one? How much can you do as a director?
It's really interesting because there isn't anything, there's no gripping drama as such,
No,
there's no
it's-
moments where, because it's based on how she actually said it, there's no kind of getting up and getting angry in some kind of impassioned speech, because that's not what happened. And
Do you know what I liked about the way it was delivered?
Conversational.
Though? Yeah, and I like the fact that even at those emotional moments where she's talking about death and persecution, she never got emotional about it. We've seen pieces before where they've lived through it and they've recounted the story time and time again, yet it's still like the first time and it's all heart-wrenching. It's almost like she's had her heart hardened by it all over the years, and she's just learned to deal with it. And it's, things that we would perceive to be horrific are something that she just lives with.
And she's reconciled, and she's just retelling her story.
And
that's
absolutely. As a directorial touch of saying, I know this is gut-wrenching and I know this is traumatic, but don't get traumatic about it.
Yeah.
You're past that point now.
Let the
You've had
audience feel
time.
that.
Yes.
You don't feel
Which
that.
I think is great from the director as a note.
Just tell the story.
Just tell the story.
Just be the character living those moments.
Absolutely.
If anything, at times, I think you kind of get a bit lost because it's lost in her thoughts.
Yeah.
It kind of, the pace drops. It didn't feel like 95 minutes to me. It did fly by. It felt like an hour maybe.
Yeah.
But the pace is so subtle and so slow. I think for some, if it wasn't Dame Maggie Smith, this would be a different production, a different performance. I don't know how much of this hangs together because it is also
her.
Dame
It's
Maggie
the
Smith.
prominence of the actress.
And again, fantastic for diversity casting because it's a female and a female, as you say, of older generation, of which there just really
Not
isn't.
those great parts a lot of the
that
time,
much.
are there? But
No.
Wonderful. Anyway, let's wrap it up. So, for A German Life, currently playing at the Bridge Theatre, not for too much longer, and it's completely sold out, we are going to give 4.
4 stars for this piece.
Difficult when it's just a monologue and there's not a huge amount of production.
There's
but
not a lot that
it's
happens.
Dame Maggie Smith telling a story and a social commentary from a point of view that you might not have heard before about an era that you probably think you know a lot about, but you don't know it from that perspective.
Yeah.
Really valuable.
Interesting.
I'd call it a valuable evening.
I don't think I learned that much. The stories that she was telling, I've seen done in many films. That's a piece of history that I personally have done a lot of research
Don't watch
and
films.
stuff into. So I know many of the stories that were being told and about Goebbels himself, but interesting just seeing Dame Maggie Smith. I think.
I mean, it's a once in a lifetime thing. As far as I know, she hasn't hit the stage in anything for a long, long time. Certainly not been on my radar. So the fact she's back, welcome back. Happy to have you. Anyway, that's just what I think.
That's just what I think.
What do you think?
What did you think?
Have you seen it? What's your favourite Maggie Smith role? Because there's
Whoa,
lots
what a
of them.
discussion.
I've never seen an episode of Downton Abbey, but I know it's popular.
Do you know what?
Let us
That's
know
quite
down
nice,
below.
actually, because she usually plays quite harsh characters in Downton Abbey. She's very stern. I'm also thinking in the Harry Potter films, you know,
She's
quite...
got authority figure.
Yeah, whereas in this she was a lovely kind of like
Warm
grandma
old
figure.
grandma, yeah.
Even though, and I thought, okay, this is a really interesting side. She seems quite nice and lovely.
Yeah.
But hey, that's
Yeah.
just what I thought.
Wait, love to hear from you. We'll break a leggers.
We'll catch you again soon.
Bye.
Bye.